Welcome to the Fighter Index, where every attribute matters. Today's breakdown is UFC middleweights Michal Oleksiejczuk and Marc-André Barriault, who meet on UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas on February 7th. Michal Oleksiejczuk is a classic high-risk, high-reward middleweight who turns every fight into a ticking clock. At his best, he's fast, explosive, and violent from the opening bell, with sharp combinations and real finishing power that force opponents to react immediately. His style thrives on momentum. When he's dictating pace early, he looks dangerous against anyone in the division. Oleksiejczuk fights rarely drift. They demand engagement, reward confidence, and showcase a fighter who believes the fastest way to win is to take control and end it himself. Michal Oleksiejczuk's game is fragile once his early offense doesn't land. His pace, defense, and composure drop sharply in extended fights, and opponents who survive the opening minutes can exploit his cardio, grappling, and defensive gaps. When forced off his preferred script, he struggles to adapt and becomes increasingly vulnerable as the fight goes on. Marc-André Barriault is a relentless pressure fighter who thrives in chaos and attrition. He brings constant forward movement, high output, and a willingness to trade that steadily drains opponents over time. His durability and conditioning let him maintain that pace deep into fights, even while taking damage. Barriault's intensity forces opponents into uncomfortable, grinding exchanges where composure breaks, rhythm disappears, and his work rate becomes the deciding factor. Barriault's style relies heavily on toughness rather than efficiency, which leaves him open to clean, repeated shots. He absorbs a lot of damage, struggles to defend at range, and lacks the technical sharpness to control disciplined opponents. Against fighters who can manage distance or counter cleanly, his pressure becomes predictable and his path to winning narrows quickly. Michal Oleksiejczuk is a dynamic middleweight with a 21-9 professional record and a UFC record of 9-7, known for finishing fights early with power and pressure. He's listed at 6 foot tall with a 74-inch reach and fights out of a southpaw stance, which adds unorthodox angles to his striking mix. Marc-André Barriault has a 17-10 professional record and has had a mix of wins and losses in the UFC. He's slightly taller at 6'1" and a similar 74-inch reach, giving him a small size advantage. Barriault fights out of an orthodox stance, using his frame and durability to sustain high output and prolonged exchanges across 3 rounds. Oleksiejczuk and Barriault differ clearly in how their fights end. Oleksiejczuk wins by finish at roughly 81%, compared to Barriault at about 71%, showing Oleksiejczuk's stronger tendency to end fights outright. In knockout and TKO wins specifically, Oleksiejczuk sits around 76%, while Barriault is closer to 65%, highlighting Oleksiejczuk's heavier reliance on pure striking damage. Submission wins are low for both, with Oleksiejczuk near 5% and Barriault around 6%, making grappling finishes a minor factor. When it comes to decisions, Barriault goes to the judges about 29% of the time, compared to Oleksiejczuk at roughly 19%, showing Barriault's fights more often extend the distance. Now it's time to break these fighters down using the Fighter Index scale. We break down each phase of the fight and score each attribute on a scale of 1 to 10 to better understand the strengths and weaknesses of a fighter's game. Scores are subjective and change as a fighter evolves from fight to fight. In Pillar 1, Fight IQ and Athletic Tools, this category determines who can still execute a plan once the fight gets difficult, chaotic, or exhausting. In Fight IQ, both fighters score 5, meaning each has basic structure and awareness, but neither consistently adapts once momentum turns or the original game plan breaks down. Athleticism creates the first clear separation, with Oleksiejczuk's 8 showing superior speed, explosiveness, and early physical advantages over Barriault's more functional 6. That edge matters early, but it doesn't last. As the fight extends, stamina completely flips the equation. Oleksiejczuk at a 4 fades noticeably, while Barriault's 8 allows him to keep pressuring, absorbing, and pushing pace deep into the fight. That endurance gap is reinforced by resolve, where Barriault's Elite 9 shows unwavering composure through fatigue and adversity, compared to Oleksiejczuk's 5, which reflects a style far more dependent on early success. This pillar favors Marc-André Barriault. In Pillar 2, striking and stand-up defense, the focus is on damage, durability, and who survives exchanges on the feet. In pure striking, Oleksiejczuk's 8 gives him the advantage. He's faster, sharper, and carries a much higher fight-ending threat than Barriault's 6, which is built more on volume and pressure than knockout power. But fights don't stay clean forever. In the clinch, Barriault's 7 becomes a major factor, as he's far more effective grinding along the fence, landing short shots, and wearing opponents down compared to Oleksiejczuk's 5. Striking defense is a shared weakness, with both fighters scoring 4, meaning neither consistently avoids clean shots once exchanges heat up. That puts even more importance on chin, where Barriault's 8 durability stands clearly above Oleksiejczuk's 6, allowing him to survive sustained damage and prolonged exchanges. This pillar favors Marc-André Barriault. In Pillar 3, grappling and control, this pillar decides who gets to put the fight where they want it and keep it there. In wrestling, Barriault's 5 reflects a more functional ability to engage, defend, and survive grappling exchanges, while Oleksiejczuk's 3 shows difficulty dictating position or stopping opponents from initiating. The gap widens further in takedown offense, where Oleksiejczuk's 2 offers almost no consistent threat, while Barriault's 4 gives him at least a workable path through pressure and clinch entries. That carries over into top control, where Barriault's 5 allows him to stabilize positions and win time, while Oleksiejczuk's 3 struggles to hold anyone down. Even in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, neither fighter is dangerous, but Barriault's 4 edges Oleksiejczuk's 3 through positional awareness and survival. This pillar favors Marc-André Barriault. In Pillar 4, defense, scrambles, and ground survival, the focus is on how hard a fighter is to take down, hold down, and safely control. In takedown defense, Barriault's 6 gives him a sturdier base and better resistance than Oleksiejczuk's 4, directly affecting how often the fight ends up on the mat. Once grounded, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu defense becomes the clearest separator. Barriault's 6 shows composure, awareness, and survival instincts, while Oleksiejczuk's 3 indicates real vulnerability once opponents settle into position. Off the back, neither fighter is dangerous, but Barriault's 4 still allows him to survive and work towards standing, compared to Oleksiejczuk's 2. In scrambles, Barriault's 5 again edges Oleksiejczuk's 4, showing slightly better ability to transition and recover. This pillar strongly favors Marc-André Barriault. On the fighter index, Marc-André Barriault scores a 5.8, reflecting a more sustainable, grind-based skill set built on durability, cardio, and resolve. Michal Oleksiejczuk scores 4.4, highlighting a style that is far more volatile and dependent on early success. The gap shows Barriault's ability to function across all phases, while Oleksiejczuk's effectiveness drops sharply once fights extend or become structured. If you have a different score for a fighter or think they should be higher or lower in an area, put it in the comments and defend your position. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more fighter breakdowns and fighter index scores.